Kurt Schlichter is a trial attorney and columnist at townhall.com. And Isaac Wright is a partner at Forward Solutions Strategy and former executive director of a pro-Hillary Clinton super PAC. Good to see you both tonight.
Good to be here.
All right, I want to play a little bit of what an attorney for Judge Roy Moore had to say today after this revelation. Then we'll get your reaction.
What they said then was either a lie, what they said today, or what they said today was a lie. And the voters are going to have to decide, were they lying then, or are they lying now, or do the voters think they've been telling the truth all along?
Isaac, is this, an unnecessary, unforced error by this woman coming forward, having admitted she added to this? Because now it casts doubt, and people are going to say, how much of these stories are true and how much they aren't. For people who want to feel good about voting for him, this may give them a little bit more salve for their conscience to say, well, now I don't know if these people are telling the truth.
No, anybody who votes for him and tries to take conscience in the fact they're voting for a man who spent the decade of his 30 preying on young girls is fooling themselves in an immoral way. Let's be honest. And first of all, I'm no lawyer. I'm a simple country boy. But even I know most courts look on the fact that you have contemporaneous documentation of something as advantageous proof of fact. This woman noted the day and location below the signature.
That's the question, Isaac. We need to know if she noted it 30 or 40 years ago or if she noted it 30 or 40 days ago. Do you think it's fair to say, let's have someone look at the textbook or the yearbook and tell us when this ink dried?
Yes, and not only do I think we should have a second expert look at that to authenticate it, there's a second yearbook, remind you, by Mrs. Gibson, who was another high school girl Roy Moore preyed on, that he hasn't even disputed the fact that he signed those kind of romantic things in her high school yearbook. So let's get that one examined too.
Okay, Kurt, let me bring in Isaac. Let me bring in Kurt here because this is the development we're talking about that's from today. And I think it's fair to now be able to put this question out there that, if these claims are legitimate, did she unnecessarily, Kurt, hurt her story and the rest of these other women, casting enough doubt that will help Roy Moore on Tuesday?
Hurt her case, Shannon. She dropped an atomic bomb on it. You and I are both lawyers. Isaac is not. You and I have both been in trials and seen witnesses melt down on the stand when they're caught in a lie like this witness was. Poor Gloria Allred watching everything, go to hell right in front of her. But there's good news. If Roy Moore wins on Tuesday, I think he will. I think Roy Moore's going to send her a dozen roses because Gloria Allred's name is all over his impending victory.
Okay, now the man that hopes to beat him on Tuesday night is Doug Jones. Let's hear a little bit of what he has to say about these women who've come forward.
I applaud the women that have come forward against Roy Moore, and I think it's time that those women be believed, just like the women that are coming out against Senator Franken.
All right, Kurt, so to be fair, if Republicans are going to be consistent, if they're believing those women and, giving credit to that and saying he needed to go and now he says he's resigning, although, I have my doubts about whether he's really going to leave or not. Is it then consistent, Kurt, for Republicans to also say those women were credible, these Roy Moore women are credible? Like, where do you draw the line? And really, it's just up to Alabama voters what they find credible.
Well, you're right about that. It is up to the Alabama voters. And what happened today really undercuts the credibility of these witnesses against Roy Moore. Look, I'm in Los Angeles. I'm not going to be voting in Alabama, and I'm not sure exactly what I'd do if I were. But anybody who tells you have some sort of moral obligation to believe all the evidence put forward by Donald Trump and Roy Moore's opponents, especially after we find that they've been tampering with evidence, which is what this is, tampering with evidence, you have every right to disbelieve what's going on. As you know, Shannon, every state's jury instructions tells the jury, if the witness lies about one thing, you are perfectly reasonable to disbelieve them in other things.
Okay,
that's what happened.
Let's bring Isaac back in here because
let's be clear here.
Listen,
These were not opponents. This was Trump's delegate.
Isaac, yes. Okay, so the thing is, this is never going to go to a court trial before they get to the polls next week. So Isaac, this is going to be tried in the court of public opinion. So what do you make of the puzzle pieces that voters now have before them?
There are 9 women, I think it is now, who've come forward individually with virtually the same story of what Roy Moore did back then. There are like 12 people in Gadsden, Alabama who've come forward to say they remember him being banned from the shopping mall because he spent so much time trolling for young girls.
Because we want to be factual on this show, a man who was in charge of the mall now has said on tape that never happened. So that's one man's voice who worked at the mall and said it never happened. I just want to make sure that's out there too.
You have that one individual saying that. You have a dozen who say they remember and can name the police officers who said to call if Roy Moore was spotted at the mall. You have dozens more than that who've come forward in the Alabama News in Gadsden and said, well, everybody knew about this at the time. There is a preponderance of evidence. There is overwhelming evidence. If you go read the actual articles in Alabama, read what people
Isaac,
are writing there about
I'm not sure you know what
this.
these words mean.
Well, Isaac is not
sure
speaking
you know
of this.
what words like
Isaac is not.
I may not be a fancy LA lawyer like you, but country boys
Isaac,
like me don't like old men who prey on young girls, and there will be some Alabamans
Well,
who
then
agree
why
with
did
you.
you vote for Bill Clinton?
Well, listen, that's a
voted for Bill
whole
Clinton.
other story. Gentlemen,
How'd you do that?
gentlemen, we just don't even have the time to start in that time machine right now. But I will say that, as Isaac says, this is about what good old people and normal people and lawyers and everyone alike, what they're going to have to decide when they go into that ballot box on Tuesday. There's plenty of evidence out there, contradictory denials. They're going to have to sift through it because the judge and jury is not going to get to before Tuesday. So we'll see what they decide. And then if he ends up here in Washington, what the leadership decides to do with him, because that's a whole nother story. Come back and debate that.
In Washington, watch your daughters.
It is.
Okay, gentlemen. Kurt, Isaac, good to see you both. Have a fantastic weekend.
Thank you.